When the horrific news broke that a 10-year-old child had been forced to cross state lines to get an abortion because of Ohio's post-Roe abortion restrictions, the right-wing media tried to cast doubt on the story. From the Wall Street Journal's headline, "An abortion story too good to confirm," to Fox News is suggesting it could be a hoax.
Primetime decided to investigate this alleged child rape. But we quickly found out that authorities in Ohio haven't even begun a criminal investigation into the rape. This doesn't make any sense. No one reported this child rape to law enforcement?
Well, then yesterday, after the alleged rapist was formally charged with raping a 10-year-old girl, the right wing couldn't pretend the story wasn't real anymore. So instead, they started going after the doctor in Indiana who helped that child. Here's Indiana's Republican Attorney General, Todd Rokita.
Then we have this abortion activist acting as a doctor with a history of failing to report. So we're gathering the information, we're gathering the evidence as we speak, and we're going to fight this to the end, including looking at her licensure if she failed to report. And in Indiana, it's a crime to not report.
Michelle Goodwin is a professor of law at the University of California, Irvine. Last year, before Roe was overturned, she published a piece in the New York Times titled, "I was raped by my father. An abortion saved my life." She joins me now. Michelle, I want to hear from you and your academic expertise, but I also want to ask you, as a survivor, how are you processing what we're watching unfold in the case of this 10-year-old girl?
Well, I think it's important that we not invest in the pornography of pain, but let's be clear that around the country, there are survivors who are men and women, girls, boys, who've experienced histories of rape, including in the states of Indiana and Ohio, in religious organizations, within families. None of this should be a surprise to lawmakers. None of this should be a surprise to individuals who cover these stories in the media. They have been quite broad. There have been investigations by the Catholic Church, by Jewish organizations. So we know that child rape exists in the United States. It's been well reported on. There have been movies and documentaries made about it. So the shock and awe and the incredulity that's been associated with this is really insulting for all people, not the least of which are people who survive these traumatic encounters.
Michelle, you have the Indiana AG saying today he will try to criminally prosecute the doctor who legally performed the abortion for the 10-year-old girl. What kind of chilling effect does that then have on doctors, on other healthcare providers?
Well, it raises questions about his ethics. It raises questions about abuse of prosecutorial discretion. It's already been clear through news reporting that this doctor appears to have filed all of the appropriate forms, but this singling out and selectively going after one doctor in the state who has helped this child is deeply alarming, but I think it's political pandering. Let's be clear that this is a political office that this individual holds. That means he fundraises in order to be able to secure votes or get his message out. And a lot of this is about that, in addition to the fact that it is really poor taste to do this. But it is also clear, too, and should be to ethics review committees, that this really is a singling out of someone who appears to be doing lawful work and is also work that is where there are ethical standards and medical standards. And I'm glad that this child was able to get the care that the child sought.
Michelle, it seems like Republicans are now trying to redefine what an abortion is. This is a Republican witness in a House Judiciary hearing today. Take a listen.
Do you think a 10-year-old should choose to carry a baby?
I believe it would probably impact her life, and so therefore it would fall under any exception and would not be an abortion.
Wait, it would not be an abortion if a 10-year-old with her parents made the decision not to have a baby that was the result of a rape?
If a 10-year-old became pregnant as a result of rape and it was threatening her life, then that's not an abortion. So it would not fall under any abortion restriction in our nation.
Then that's not an abortion. There was, of course, another expert who retorted that abortion is medical care. What do you make of her comments, Michelle?
If you read the law that was signed into effect by the governor, there are no exceptions for cases such as that which this girl has. So changing the language of it or the meaning of it, given that there's been public uproar, doesn't change the fact that this child couldn't get that pregnancy terminated in the state that she was coming from. And, I have colleagues who are OBGYNs who say that there are fundamentalist, anti-abortion people who come seeking abortions from them, and they will say, but this is not an abortion. And there are these moments in which they have to make sure that there is informed consent, but it's not unusual that there have been people who consider themselves anti-abortion who do get abortions, and they don't like to call it abortion, they like to call it something else, but that's exactly what it is, and they, like other people, don't want to be saddled with involuntary pregnancies or being forced to carry pregnancies that they don't want, and in those instances, they call it something else.
Professor Rochelle Goodwin, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us.